computer audio.
Yeah, what's been going on with your audio?
Maybe it works now. I paused the recording, but this is, I might just back up for 1 second. Okay. I had paused the recording and now we're recording. So we'll put this up. But it's important that people, they hear you say, kind of, here's what's going on in Florida real estate, right? So a lot of states had shut down. People that had put their dreams on pause with regards to real estate, it's really common, right? People talk to agents or they talk to their family members and they say, well, one day I'm going to move to Florida. One day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to buy a pool home. One day I'm going to stop renting, right? I believe the pandemic got everybody off the fence, okay? And they stopped putting their dreams on hold. And some people, even like politically, they didn't align with the states that they were in and some of the restrictions that were going on. And what I'm hearing from people that are coming in from out of state is we're so lucky that we have a state that's open, a state that's doing business and hasn't shut down. And it's just, you know, some of the words that have been used, you know, a client from Washington, they felt suffocated there. So that's why people are coming here. So we have really high buyer demand. You've got really low rates with lenders. And then you've got an influx of people. I mean, the influx was already there and now it's being compounded, right? And people are not selling their homes. Now, could that change a little bit this spring? Sure, but I think the buyers are going to increase as well. So we don't have enough homes to sell. We have what's called low inventory, low resale inventory. Okay, that's what we call it. And it doesn't matter if you're talking new construction or you're talking homes that already existed. We have low inventory. And what I've been seeing is there's about 7 buyers for every house. About 7 buyers.
Wow.
Legit pre-approved buyers that are ready to buy and buy it within the next 30 to 45 days. That's what I would say. And it is exhausting in some cases. You are competing. Like it used to be like, let's go out and see some houses. You go see a house that's active, it's usually available. Does the listing agent wants your offer? You talk about how to run comps and how to come in lower and so that we can negotiate, and all that's out the window. My first conversation, okay, I got a phone call from my friend on Friday. He was looking for a property actually on the other coast of Florida. I have a license that covers the entire state, so I wrote it up for him, even though I didn't have MLS access. And I'm sitting there on the couch. I have my son on my lap, and I didn't have a computer in front of me. Anything. He's just like, "Hey, this property. It's 3 houses from the beach. It's $250,000." I said, "Warren, I just want you to know, we've been friends for a while, but we've never worked together, and you're not active in this market right now. I just want you to know, if you're looking at this house and you think it's a value, and this made you pick up the phone and say, 'Hey, I'm ready to buy a vacation house,' other people are going to be saying the same thing." So I have some research to do, Warren. That's fine. But one of the things that you and Bree need to talk about after you send me the address, and I'll do some research this evening, is you need to talk about what's the most amount that you're willing to pay for a property like this, right? That was one of the first things I said to him, is you guys need to start talking about how high you want to go, okay? Because, and then I asked him, "Are you financed?" "Yes, I'm financed." He didn't have cash, okay? Because that changes the terms. So here's the things, and this is with like almost any buyer right now. So you're gonna have multiple buyers for one property. Okay. And we have not yet figured out how to put multiple families into one house. So that means 6 people are not going to get the house, right? So one person gets it, 6 people do not. Okay. If I'm using 7. All right. how do you strengthen your offer? How do you make it stand out? Okay. Working with Warren was really, really good because we've known each other for a long time. He knows I'm a professional. And I said, here's the thing, Warren, the conversation we're about to have, sometimes it takes a few weeks and a few offers for buyers to come to this place with me, okay? Because they don't want to pay over asking price and they don't want to do some of the things I'm about to tell you about. But it's important that I said, if you want a chance at this property, I already know what's going to happen to it. And here are the things that could strengthen your offer. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be comfortable with all of them. I don't know if you are. But if you're saying, Doug, I want to win, here are some things that we can do in order to win the property. I mean, the first thing is the price, right? So this property was listed at $250,000. So one of the first things I said is just think about what you're willing to pay for it. There's all sorts of different scripts you can do around this when you're trying to get your buyers to come up with their best price, right? Essentially, they're thinking, well, what's the lowest I can pay? And I'm asking the opposite question. What's the most you're willing to pay, right? And it's tough. It's a conversation we're having like with every single buyer right now. Okay, so here's a little script that if you ever find yourself in this situation, and if anybody wants to take this recording and write this down, this is how I've gotten my buyers there before. Okay, so imagine we put an offer on this property. There's multiple offers. Okay, and if 2 days from now they tell us, I'm sorry, your offer wasn't accepted, and in about 45 days, you wake up one morning, you get an alert from Zillow, and it says such and such property is closed. And you say, oh, I remember that property. That was the one we really liked. We put an offer on it, but we didn't get it. And you pull it up on Zillow, and it's sold for X amount of dollars, okay? And you say to yourself, well, I would have paid that. Well, shoot, I would have just paid that much money if I would have known, what is that number? What's the highest number? Like, what's the $1 you don't want to go over? And that's really the number that when you're in a blind negotiation, when you're in a situation where they're calling for what's called highest and best, that means we have multiple offers. We're not going to tell you what the offers are, unless you can get the agent to divulge it. But they have multiple offers. What's the highest and best? Highest refers to price. Best refers to terms. Okay. So that's a discussion a lot of times that we're having with buyers right now. And that's a little script. Don't have to use it all the time, but if they have the patience for it, you can walk them down that road. All right. What else would strengthen your offer? So I said to Warren, here's the thing. There's a reason the property was priced at $250,000. My guess is that the agent, they followed the comps, right? They followed the comparables. Okay. And again, if you're calling me, other people are calling their agents and saying, hey, I want this house. So if they followed the comps and you're going to need an appraisal, right? If he's financed, he's going to need an appraisal. Okay. And if the appraisal, let's talk about appraisal for 1 second. Okay. If the appraisal comes in, if the offer is 250 and the appraisal comes in at 245, what happens? Do you know?
You have to come up with, I'm sorry, my mute wouldn't, you'd have to come up with that in cash, right?
Yeah, if you want to buy the, so it becomes a renegotiation. You basically have a $5,000 gap. And
Mhm.
one of the ways to fix it is for the buyer to make that up. So the lender will only lend on this amount.
Mhm.
Buyer's gonna have to come over the top of the appraisal with that amount, or the seller's gonna have to come down. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. Nick McKeon and I will close one on Monday. We did get the seller to come down, but the sellers have options. Okay. Sellers have options. So it's unlikely, it's almost better to have this discussion up front. And listing agents might ask you, they say, well, what happens if the appraisal comes in light? You know, and especially with Warren, I think they went up to 265. And in order to compete with inevitably offers that had 50% cash or 100% cash, which 100% cash wouldn't even need an appraisal. 50% cash, I have no concerns about because you have the money to make it up, right? We actually waived the appraisal up front. And what that looked like, I'm gonna actually pull up the offer in question. How about that? Where is it? Anyway. Can you see this screen right here?
Yep. Yep.
Sorry, I'm getting there.
No, it's okay. And Doug, I apologize so much. In like at 1:30, I have another meeting I have to jump off. But
No
I just
worries.
wanted to let you know so you know I didn't just leave.
Thank you for telling me. No worries.
No. But I am gonna watch the rest of this because it's exactly what I had questions about.
Okay, Warren, you see this one? All right. We'll come back to the top here, okay? So on the bottom, we wrote sales price. I want you to focus on 581 and 582. Sales price will not be subject to third-party value. The buyer guarantees the sales price and waives the appraisal contingency. The appraisal contingency is automatic. It falls with the financing contingency. So we waived it up front. And what Warren had to understand was that if it comes in at 245 and it gets and his offer gets taken at 265, he's got to bring $20,000, not just $20,000, $20,000 on top of the already 10%, which his mortgage lender approved him for. So 10% of 245 plus another $20,000. So they need to do some math and look at their finances and look at all that, okay? But just having that up front. But without this, knowing that this property is super competitive, there's almost no chance that they get it. So I'm trying to actually write an offer that gets accepted. The other thing we did is if the seller receives multiple offers. So we did what's called the other thing we did is called an escalation clause.
Oh, wow, I've never seen that before.
If the seller receives multiple offers, buyer's offer will automatically increase to a purchase price of $1,000 above the highest bona fide offer, net of seller concessions, not to exceed the purchase price of $265,000. He actually wrote it for full price for $250,000. Okay, if I were to go back up to the top, that's what you would see. If the seller uses the escalation, seller will provide a copy of the offer, which was escalated with names redacted for privacy. So, and Adriana had sent me this off of one of her. Adriana had sent me this. She had seen it somewhere, and I grabbed some of the verbiage. I've used them before and stuff like that, but it was well written, so I used some of it, not all of it. And then the other thing was guaranteeing escrow deposit. Okay, so the seller says, well, you know, you could fall apart because of financing. I'm basically trying to make our offer as close to cash as possible, right? And so the buyers felt good about guaranteeing $1,500, 50% of their escrow. So they're going to put $3,000 in escrow. And I said, you know, do you want to guarantee some of your escrow? So day 8, it's day 8 because we have a 7-day inspection period. So 50% or $1,500 of the escrow deposit will be non-refundable after day 8. That's non-refundable with the exception of, actually, that's what I should have put in there. Non-refundable with the exception of seller default. Okay, after day 8. Okay, so so this is what, you know, this is what we did. This was a strong offer, and this, in order to get my buyers, who this is the first offer we've written together, we had to have really honest conversations, and they weren't ready for all of them. They weren't really excited about guaranteeing their escrow deposit if something fell apart after inspections and things like that. But they knew that, you know, it was a pretty special home, and we were going to be competing with other strong offers. So this is the kind of discussion we have to have. And this isn't just because it's a beach property on Ormond Beach. You guys can look it up on Zillow if you want to. It's 10 Berkeley Road. It's a small little single car garage home. But it's seriously like 3 homes from the beach. It's crazy. I didn't even know stuff like that existed. So it's not just these properties. It can also be townhomes and condos and single family pool homes. And I did an escalation clause on a $600,000 home that was new on the market that we ended up going up to $620,000. So these are the things, if you can get ahead of it with conversations, expectation setting, with your client, but also with yourself, and understand that when your client loves a home, there's going to be other people that love it. And some of the things you're going to see other agents showing the property when you're there. You're going to see the scheduler that's on the MLS. You know, lots of times scheduled. You're going to see notes in there, highest and best by Monday at noon. You know, and you're going to have your clients breathing down your neck, you know, in the time that it takes between when you write the offer and submit it and when the sellers are supposed to make a decision. So these are all things that are really, really common right now. And it's just the way that the market is. And if you can have more discussions and set expectations, you're just going to set yourself up for better. But you know, it's a lot. So and it's exhausting having, and then the other things that just, I know you got to go, you can go if you want. The other things that will not fly are seller concessions. So that's things like closing costs, right? Seller concessions. If you're, almost every buyer in the past, especially first-time home buyer, are saying, "Oh, I want, my mortgage lender, my cousin, my blah blah blah, somebody who bought a house 17 years ago had told me that I can get the sellers to pay for some of my closing costs." And when I talked to my lender, when he ran the numbers, we were looking at getting about $8,000 from the seller, okay? This is not gonna happen in this market. It's not gonna happen. Home to sale contingency. So I'm gonna write an offer and I've got a house to sell, and this is a whole nother discussion. What stage is your home to sale at? Is it on the market? Is it not on the market? Are you under contract? Has it been inspected? Has it been appraised? Are you really, really, really far along? How much of that can you document and send with your offer that says, hey, I know we're a home to sell contingency. That means we have to close on our other house in order to buy your house. We can't do it without it. So, you know, here it is, but here's the contract. Here's the other agent's name that has the buyer for their property. Here's where the property is. We've already been through inspections. The appraisal, it just came in last night and it's at value. There's nothing that's going to happen. Like if you're going to have to sell it. If you've got a home to sell contingency, you're going to have to sell it. What are some other possible solutions? So this is actually really interesting. Okay. This is what's going on in this market right now. Here, I'm going to pull this one up. Bear with me one moment. I'm going to use the MLS. So glad I get my audio back. Okay, what's going to happen? I'm going to share it. Okay. Bring this down here. Share the screen right there. Okay. I know whose listing it was. I just didn't know. Here we go. Okay. So this property right here. Okay. So I have a buyer coming into town on Sunday. We're going to go look at property next week. They're Fish Hawk pool home, 3,000 square feet, up to 550, that whole thing. Okay. So my buyer is currently in Tallahassee. She's on an auto drip email, and this property comes up on the market. 540,000, 3,000 square feet. It's in Starling Ranch in Fish Hawk. First, actually, she contacted me after it was on the market for like 3 days. Okay. So here's the property, really nice. The tile's a little funky. I like that transom window. That's super nice. And then that cage, super cool. Nice house. Sorry, I go really fast through photos because I'm just like looking at like floors and stuff. Big bonus, built-ins, cool. Look at that. Pool cage, extended pool cage, under roof area. So super cool. Okay. So then I look down here. Okay. Washer and dryer, refrigerator, TV, lanai, pool heater not warranted. Home is fairly easy. Seller will only entertain offers allowing a lease back until July 15th, 2021. Seller requests 48 hours to review all offers. Seller requests highest and best by 6 p.m. on 3/7. Okay. So it was basically for the weekend and then 3/7. So what's this lease back nonsense all about? Right? What's that mean? So the sellers of this property, 15723 Starlingdale, okay? They're gonna go buy another house, right? So why didn't they just wait until May, keep their kids in school, sell their house in June? Because they don't want to be contingent. They don't want to be contingent when they go buy their next house. Let's say they're going to buy in Orlando, okay? If they can close, today's March 10th, whatever. So let's just say they close by April 30th. They're going to lease their house all of April, all of May. I'm sorry, all of May, all of June, until July 15th. 30, 60, 75 days. That they're going to be a tenant in their own house, just hypothetically. Okay. Now they can, so they close, they got money in the bank. They're no longer a homeowner. They've got a lease and they have until July 15th, or they could probably end it early and their buyer will agree to that too. So they don't want to be contingent. They're getting ahead of it. Okay. And because the dominoes have to keep falling. So this is something, when you have a good listing, is helping the sellers get here. And so what do you know? I happen to know the listing agent. Her name is Iris Green. And I saw her yesterday at Hawkstone when I was there visiting for West Bay. And I said, "Hey, Iris, how's it going? Saw your property in Starling, the new one." Said, "I'm sure you had multiple offers." She's like, "Yeah, crazy." I said, I thought that might have worked because I read this and my client doesn't want to move till the summer anyway. I said, "Hey, this could have worked. It could have worked for my client, but we were too late and they're not really ready to write offers right now." And I said, "How did it go? Did anybody agree to allow you guys to lease it back until July 15th? She said, "Oh yeah."
That's crazy.
I said, "Was it just one person or whatever?" She's like, "Oh no, all the offers came in with that lease back." And she goes, "You know what the other thing is, Doug? They were able to name their lease terms. Do you think they paid market lease rent over these 75 days? Or do you think they were able to negotiate some terms that were fair for the buyers, but even a little bit more fair for them, the sellers?"
Right.
So they got, when I say, if you're a seller, the world is your oyster. Yeah. The world is your oyster. And it's almost important, if you do get a listing, especially if your client's a buyer, slow it down, do it right. Make sure every buyer that comes to their home is their buyer, because they're going to get options like this. They're going to get these options. And the last thing you want to do is say, "Okay, let's sell your house so we can go buy another one." And you go bang, bang, and they got to close in 40 days. And now they're a buyer in a market and they're contingent to sell and they got nowhere to live. So you think you did a great job. I just sold your home quickly, but all you did was put them in a tight bind where they have to be out of their house. They don't have any opportunity to get more time unless everybody agrees on it. And now they're a buyer in a similar market or even a more competitive market, and they're contingent, which whatever. And I said to Iris, I said, we were a contingent sale, and she said, "Yeah, that we wouldn't have done that at all." And I said, "Well, that's why you guys did the lease back." She's like, yeah, they can't be contingent, not when they're going to go buy. No way. So this is how competitive this is right now. And I've never seen a market like this in my life. And it's very strange walking into listing appointments and your sellers are $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 lower than what your marketing number is. I'm not used to that. I'm used to working, I'm just talking about, like, historically, I worked a lot of expireds. Yeah. And expireds, it was overpriced, undermarketed, underserviced, and you always had to kind of battle with the sellers and get them to see things your way and stuff like that. So this is a totally different market for us, and it's just crazy. So I wouldn't want to, I mean, not that I wouldn't want, but if you get a 250 buyer right now, like good luck, you know, I mean, it's you and everybody else. Like what are you going to do? I mean, and I see all the jokes on Facebook. I'm friends with a lot of realtors. So, you know, you're pre-approved for $250,000, you know, and then the client says to the realtor, why every house that you're sending me is between 200 and 215? Because that's
Right.
the list price that you're going to have to look at in order to get your offer accepted for 250.
Crazy.
Or the other one goes like this. Buyer's agent sends the offer over. Listing agent says, hey, I received your offer, but it was blank. It had your client's names on it and stuff like that, but it wasn't filled in. You forgot to fill in the first page. And the buyer's agent says, we're exhausted. We've made 7 offers. Just fill in what you guys will take and we'll go with it. Whatever
Oh
you
my
guys want,
gosh.
you know, these are kind of jokes and memes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like, that's really where we're at right now. And it's just crazy. If I were really wanting some business, I talk about lead generation right now. I think agent referrals is one of the best ways to get business right now. People are moving into Florida. Their agent that's helping them in their state or their area is incentivized if they help them find the agent that's you, and they can make 25% of their next sale. Of course, that's motivation. And the agent that's with them in that state, they have influence over them. Okay. They have influence. They want to make things easy on them, and the client's going to trust them. So if you can get on these Facebook pages, get on Workplace, get your name out there, try to get in a conversation with agents. I mean, it's competitive just like anything else. Of course, everyone's going to raise their hand.
Yeah.
But I think agent referrals, we're doing a bunch of them, a whole lot of them right now.
Yeah.
So, and I will gladly pay 25%. I'll pay 30% for listings. If you give me a listing in this market, I'll give you 30%, easy. No doubt. Love it. Because I don't have to do much. I got to send my photographer, put in the MLS, take some data, you know. So let's talk about this real quick, right? I'm gonna shift gears, right? So why do agents need me, right? I was on a listing appointment on Monday morning. I don't know this person. My friend Brooke took a screenshot of a Wesley Chapel page, and she said, hey, be the first one to call this lady. This lady goes onto a public Facebook page and says, hey, I need to sell my house. Here's my cell phone number. Right? What do you think she got? She said, she told me later she had it up for 11 minutes and she had over 30 something comments or whatever. So, you know, and I sent her a message, and I sent her my promo video, and I sent her a client's contact information and all this stuff. And so I actually got in the door, and that's the biggest thing. If you can get in the door, I sent her some follow-up emails. Anyway, so I said to her on Monday, and again, I don't know this woman. I said, you know, I was talking about commission a little bit. She didn't give me any pushback on commission. 6%, awesome. I said, first of all, there's people that will do it cheaper than me. Like, they're out there. All you got to do is throw a stone. You'll find one that'll do it cheaper than me. And certainly my value to you is not in finding a buyer, because you could put a sign out in front of your house, or you could put your house on Zillow, and honest to God, you could find a buyer in a second. That's not really why people hire me. What's going to happen is, first of all, we get the price right, and we're going to go over the market value, because that's what the buyer demands. I did a comp set before I went to this property, 2,200 square feet, no pool, built in 2012, Wesley Chapel. I looked between 350 and 400 for any property that was newer than 2005. And the only thing that was on there were 5 new construction properties And I think they were available to close this summer. So that's what the market that I was looking at in. So yeah, I went up over market price and all that stuff, and she's doing some repairs. But I said, what's going to happen is, first of all, we're going to list your house at 375, which is ridiculous. It's like whatever it is, 180 a square foot or something like that. And then what's going to, you know, my value is in when we receive all the offers. First of all, we're going to create a little bit of panic, right? We're going to go on the market on Wednesday, but we're not going to take any showings. And then we're going to go take showings on Thursday and Friday, but we're going to have open houses scheduled on Saturday and Sunday. And so we just want to keep getting offers, and we want to create a lot of anxiety with our future buyer so that they bring their best offer first, right?
Mhm.
Bring your best offer, bring all the best offers. And if you want to go under contract before the open houses or on Saturday evening, whatever, we can talk about that. If you want to wait until Monday at noon, yeah, people are going to be blowing up my phone and saying, whatever. But, you know, again, the world is your oyster. But my value is not in finding the buyer. I can help you prepare your home, and I'll do some marketing and stuff like that. But it's really in filtering through all these multiple offers that we're inevitably expecting, getting through, you know, who's the best financing? Is there somebody with a lot of cash? You know, talking about all those things, and then protecting you and making sure that we go under contract with the right buyer. And one of the things I say is, you know I've done my job when we have one buyer and they close you on time. Like, not two buyers, not three buyers, not put it back on the market, all this stuff. Like, we get one buyer and you get to closing. Okay. So that's the job right there. And there's just something I was thinking about. Multiple offers, all that stuff. I was going to go back to. I lost my train of thought. So, yeah, I mean, one of the things, if we go back to commission, like, could I have taken it at less because it's not going to take me that much time? I could have taken it at less. She had other people that wanted to list her. I told her, I said, there are people that will sell it for cheaper than me. Absolutely, they will. But I don't get paid by the hour. I don't get paid for my time, right? I get paid for my results. And so the market is giving them so much money that I don't think there's much value in me going down 1%. And I'm digging my heels in at 6% now. Okay. And one of the scripts I'm using is this is what we do at the commission. We go 3 and 3, okay? Because remember, I told you I want one buyer, one. I don't want 2 or 3. The thing about, so I say some negative things about realtors when I'm in front of the public. I do. I say some negative things. I say things like, you know, it only takes about 64 hours of an online class in order to get your license. So I don't really know who's showing your house other than their license, and they have a super key and they have a buyer for your property. So blah, 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 right? But one of the things that I know about, one of the things I say about realtors is oftentimes they're spending their paycheck before it's even in their bank account, right? So do the math, 375 times 3%. What's that? You got it.
What was it again?
375 times 3%. 11,250, right? So this agent, they might sell a couple houses a year. They might sell a lot of houses, doesn't matter. But I paint the picture. I say they've kind of already spent the money while they're under contract. And if they allow their client to cancel, first of all, they're going to have to go sell them another house, get in their car, go show them more properties, go into competitive situations. And they're probably going to have to either sell for probably around 2.5%. Now we just went under contract for another one at 2.25%. So we're taking money out of their pocket, and largely it's money that they've already spent. Okay, so don't think of it as I'm charging you more. Let's get the money from the buyer. Let's bump up the sales price, because really this property comped more like $355. So we put it up $20,000, and it's still going to sell. So you tell them, we're going to get the commission from the buyer, and we're going to incentivize their agent to such a degree that if there's appraisal issues, inspection issues, financing issues, title issues, any kind of issues, and you say it just like that so that they get overwhelmed. Are there going to be title issues? Heck no, there's not going to be title issues. You have a title company that does all the work, right? But they don't think about all these things, repairs, whatever. So you just try to create a list that overwhelms them a little bit. And you say, if any of these things creep up, I've got a buyer's agent that's 100% invested in selling your property and not a different property.
Right.
And that works. It absolutely works. So anyway.
I have a question, Doug, real quick about like appraisal, since it's coming, most appraisals are coming in lower. What if you get into a situation where the buyer doesn't want to come down, or the I'm sorry, the buyer doesn't want to come up and the seller doesn't want to come down, and they just want to end the contract? Then you just end it, right?
Yep. And the buyer gets their money back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But just remember, there's a lot of different like strategies that go into working with buyers. When you're in a competitive situation to get your offer accepted, you need to do everything you can to be the one buyer that goes under contract.
Right.
Because if you're number 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, you don't really have that opportunity. The thing about the appraisal is, one of the reasons we just got $5,000 off an appraisal, which is kind of a miracle in this market. But one of the reasons is, first of all, we cried poor, right? So I said, okay, here was the situation. So this is a townhome that Nick and I have under contract. It was on the market for $245. Yep. This was list. I'm sorry. The contract price that we put on, that our buyer wrote, was $250. Okay. And it appraised $241. No, she's not FHA. She's conventional. So list almost doesn't matter. So now we have a $9,000 gap. Okay. And we knew it was coming, right? They were asking us for the appraisal, I'm telling you guys, slow things down. Don't answer questions immediately. Don't answer your phone if you know the agent's calling just for that and you haven't had the conversations you need to have. Let it go to voicemail. You already know what she's going to ask. Have conversations with your client, talk to the lender, get all your options in front of you. So we've got a $9,000 gap, but we do have a motivated seller who has already had their property inspected. We can close it next week, blah, blah, blah. We're just waiting on the appraisal. So the agent says on the phone, well, let's split the difference. Okay. Right. The seller doesn't want to go back on the market. He could probably go. And she goes, really the upsetting thing for us is, we had an offer at like $247,000. That was cash. That's what she says, right? So we had cash. Well, we took yours because it was more money. Okay. So we have a $9,000 gap. So she says, let's split it. So while I'm on the phone with her, so the first thing I did is I laid the groundwork, and I said, look, my buyer wants the house. So I'm not going to be her enemy, right? My buyer wants the house. She spent money on inspections. She absolutely wants it. Here's the thing, and I said, when we first started this process, just like any other buyer that was buying their first house, she started asking us if it was possible to get the sellers to pay some of her closing costs. And right up front, we got her off of that, and we said, no, that's not possible. You're going to have to take money out of here and there, and because it's just, we're not going to be able to do that. So please understand, listing agent, that we've already kind of battled some of these battles. And that's why we came in with no closing costs, and she did come in with her best offer. So what I'm saying is, even if she wants to make up 9,000 or half of it or whatever, she might not have the ability. Okay. So now I'm not a bad guy, right? Because it's about ability, not desire, right? Does she want to? That's a whole nother discussion, right? Is she willing to versus can she, right? Two different discussions. And so I kind of just set it up for like, hey, we're poor, and it's nothing we can control. We're just poor. And she's going to be really disappointed if we can't get this to work out because of the money. So she says, and this is kind of a side anecdote. So she proposed, she said, let's go half and half. Okay. But when she said, let's go half and half, she said this number. Okay. And I'm sitting there, it's the evening. She's been wanting to talk to me all day about this, and I didn't have my conversation. So I just let it rest. But she kept saying 244.5. Now is 244.5 halfway in between 241 and 250?
No.
No.
I'm
It's
like
not.
trying to do the numbers.
It's not.
Yeah.
Right? The buyer would have to pay 3,500 and the seller would have to pay, what was it, $5,000?
5, yeah. Well,
5,500.
now we're at 10. Supposedly.
8. I'm at 8, 9.
Oh.
55 and 35.
Okay.
So I'm at 9. So 35. So she says this on the phone. And so I was doing the math. I go, so if I didn't guarantee anything. I said, I don't think she can do it. I don't know. She's gonna, this might be really heartbreaking for her. And I say, then I repeated it. I said, so if I can get my buyer to 244,500, you think you guys can make this work, right? Yes, yeah, Doug, blah, 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 blah. The seller, he could go back in the market. Like she says all these other things. I say, all right, what's her name? Nanda. All right, Nanda, I'm going to call my buyer right now and see if she can really make 244,500 work. And, I'll shoot you a text, and, I don't know, I can probably do an addendum tonight if I can get this worked out, but I'm just going to see. So I set real low expectations. So I called my buyer, and I called Nick, and I got them all on the phone. And I said, hey, here's what they want to do. They want to split it in half, but I think we can write it at 244.5, and you can win a little bit more than the seller can win.
Yeah.
Right? By $1,000. I like these little small victories. I like whatever. It's fun. And so the buyer goes, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's just do it. So I write up the addendum, I get her to sign it, and I send it. And about a half an hour after I sent it, it's probably like 8:30 at night, Nanda calls my phone. Did I answer it? Nope. She texts me.
Too late.
She texts me.
Sleeping.
She texts me 244.5 question mark. I thought it was 255.5. I didn't respond to it. The next morning, she's motivated to sell a property, right? The next morning, I think she sent me an email then too. The next morning, I get on my computer and I just respond and I say, Nanda, I remember you clearly saying that 244.5 was going to get this done. And then she said something else, and then I just let it rest. Like I had one response, and then about 2 hours later, she sends me an email. She says, the seller's going to accept 244.5. I'll send you the addendum. Small little victories, it's just little things like that. Slow it down. my buyer could have paid the 9. She absolutely could have. It would have hurt. She would have been hurting. She would have been not that happy about it. She would have had a decision to make, but she probably would have done it, to be honest with you. So anyway, so all I'm saying is when the seller's invested and they can see the end of the road, like that's just think about what leverage you have. You have, if you're representing the seller and you're new on the market and you got a property everybody wants, you've got all the leverage in the world until you go under contract.
Right. So
if you need a lease back, price, terms, anything, make sure you get that up front. If you're a buyer and you're competing, you're going to have to do backflip after backflip after backflip in order to be the one that goes under contract. If you've got financing or a contingent sale or low escrow or any other thing, I mean, it's just going to make it that much harder. But 2 weeks, 3 weeks after you go under contract, if the appraisal comes in light, and you haven't really had, we didn't have any discussion about appraisal other than the listing agent thought it would appraise. We didn't guarantee anything up front. We didn't do anything like that. Now we're the only buyer. All the other buyers have moved on.
Right.
The seller sees another 40-day window to get to closing, and it makes more sense for him to just do something like that.
And the appraisal always usually gets ordered like 2 to 3 weeks, right? It's never, there's not a way to put that in our terms for it to speed up. If you want it to,
you can
put that in terms.
Yep. Yeah. As a listing agent. Okay. A couple of things as a listing agent. What time is it? Okay. It's 2. A couple of things as a listing agent. So yeah, you could, I've had agents do that before.
Okay.
Is to say, because as a buyer, you want to wait until your inspections are over, until you commit to the next $500, right?
Right.
And so, and there's disclosures, and if it's VA, they have to get a VA number from blah, 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 right? So there's some logistics to it, but you can, and we've had to do it for our buyers before. Buyer agrees to order appraisal within 3 days of executed contract. Yeah.
Because I thought sometimes it always relied on the bank, like if they're financed. So how would that work because doesn't the bank order it? How would you speed that up if it has to do with the bank?
Yeah. Well,
the banks don't really care, like talking to them from what I've experienced.
The banks are going to do what their client wants.
Okay.
So as long as they can get with their closing disclosure out quickly,
yeah,
they can get it ordered pretty quick. But if I were the listing agent, I want to have that conversation with the lender before I go under contract and say, hey, we've got a couple of things, we want to see what it appraises at, and we're a little worried about the comps in the neighborhood. This house is gorgeous and the other homes just weren't as nice. So if we go under contract with your client, we want to write a stipulation that says they'll order the appraisal within 3 days of executed. What would stand in the way of you guys doing that? Okay. And just see what they say. So yeah, you want to have that discussion up front. One of the other things, oh, this is going to jump down a rabbit hole. When you're representing the seller, the as-is contract is a horrible thing in this market, because buyers just want to get you under contract for the same reasons that I was just talking about.
Right.
So that they're one of one, not one of 20 or one of 7 or whatever it is. So the as-is contract allows for a 15-day inspection period, 10-day, 7-day, it doesn't matter. If the buyer is not absolutely in love with the property and they've been writing offers and they're just trying to get a house, they're going to continue shopping during their inspection period. Hopefully they inspect the house. Hopefully they put their escrow in. But even in those first couple of days when their escrow is due and they're not really inspecting, they could be out writing offers on other properties and cancel with you with no penalty at all.
Right.
right? It's a bad thing unless you use the FAR-bar contract. And the FAR-bar contract, maybe we just need to do our own class on this.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
So the FAR-bar contract does a couple of things, and they're good, but you have to read the contract and you have to know how to explain it. Sellers don't like the FAR-bar contract because I'm selling my house as is. Everybody loves to say that. I'm selling my house as is. Okay. So all that means is you're not obligated upfront to make any repairs. It means the buyer is going to renegotiate once they do an inspection, right? Doesn't mean you won't do any repairs. It just means you're not contractually obligated to do repairs. But it also comes with the stipulation that the buyer doesn't have to really do anything. They have to put escrow in within 3 days. They get, let's call it 10 days to inspect, and they can cancel for any reason or no reason at all. Any reason or no reason at all within those first 10 days. And if they did put their escrow in and they didn't inspect, they can just get their escrow money back and go buy their next house. That's it. There's no penalty. And you have to go and switch your listing to pending and then go back and try to chase your other buyers or whatever. And maybe you'll still get the same result, but who knows? The FAR-bar contract does not allow the buyer to cancel the contract for any reason or no reason at all. It also obligates your sellers to a certain amount of inspection, repair money up front on the contract. So we can go through this maybe next time, but
Yeah,
I'm thinking we've got
that'd be good.
we've got a few listings coming up, and I think agents in this market don't want to relearn a new contract, but I might just be using a FAR-bar in the future because I don't want people putting us under contract and then
Right.
floating out of here,
But it's also good because if we receive one and we've never seen one before, because we've been used to as is, just knowing how to read it and make
So
it.
next week, FAR-bar contract.
Yeah, I think
And
that'd be
what the
cool.
biggest differences are. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's put homework on the page, on the thing, on the workplace page.
Workplace, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could even, if you want to pull the contract so people can find it.
Yeah.
Put the actual contract on there.
Oh, so that they could just read through
Yeah.
it.
But
Okay, I'll do that.
I would, and if you're not familiar with an as is, you might not really know what you're looking for, but there are some really glaring differences.
Yeah.
And the inspections are one of the biggest ones. And then the way inspections are negotiated, and those are
Maybe
some
we
of the
can see
biggest
who
ones.
could find the most differences. Like a seek and find game.
Seek and find. That's right. That's right. All right, we'll do that next week, but yeah, that's where we're at. Adriana,
Yeah.
I can't see you, so
I was just gonna ask if she's here with us.
I don't really talk to you or whatever. What's up?
I've just been listening and multitasking the whole time. I look like crap.
Are you seeing any FAR-bar?
Don't judge me. No, everything is as is.
Yeah. But it's true, isn't it? I mean, they can cancel.
Yeah. Okay.
Adriana's not sure about this weekend because she may have some leads in.
Next weekend.
Next weekend. Yeah. Oh, wait. Adriana.
20th and 21st.
I got a buyer actually off of Workplace. I was the first one to mess agent for referral agent. So I got that, but so they live in Fort Myers. They're selling their house in Fort Myers, and they're trying to come up either this weekend or next weekend to go and look at properties, but I have not heard back yet. I was just talking